In this second training video for WP Empire Builder, I'm going to be showing you guys how to take an existing website that you already have and import it into this plugin. But there's a big difference this time as opposed to what I taught the first time around. The first time around, you should really only use that tactic for plain content websites. What I'm referring to is a site where you have basically just gone through and put text content into a page or post on the site. If you have plugins or themes that are on the new existing site that you want to move into this network, and those plugins and themes do not exist on your mother's site, the original site that you used, then those plugins and themes are not going to get transferred over to the second site, and you're going to end up with a messed up design and probably a website that doesn't function properly. So to show you what I'm talking about, this second demo site that I added on to it, I am on the home page for this demo site here. As you can see, it doesn't look right. Now obviously you didn't get to see it ahead of time, but you will get to see it here when I finish up transferring this site into the plugin. Number one, the design of it has been changed. The sidebar widgets and stuff are different. And you can see right here I have a shortcode as the content of my post. This shortcode is not getting converted because the plugin that is from does not exist on the site. So with that said, I want to walk you guys through what is needed to actually transfer these sites using this plugin and to not mess anything up on your site. Now, if you had already transferred a site and it looks messed up like this one does, or anything similar, if it's not looking like it's supposed to, it's okay. You have not ruined your site permanently. You are actually just making a copy of the site here. Your original site still exists, and your original database still exists. It simply exists in a different place. So all hope is not lost. You can still recover your site and get it completely set up just how it was originally. So that's what I'm going to be walking you guys through now. I feel like this is a really important training for you to have to go along with this plugin, considering the type of sites that I typically teach people to build. Because if you build a site like anything like what I teach to build, you will run into this problem, and you're going to have to do this to get it to work properly with the plugin. It will be worth the effort though, because you will have all of your sites running under one single dashboard when you are finished. So with that said, the first thing that you need to do is identify what plugins and or themes you might be using on the new site that were not being used on your mother site. Now, I use FTP to do this. However, you can do this through your control panel. You can go into the file manager to access files. Again, I'm using FTP though. This is basically the same thing as File Manager, except all I'm getting here are the files. So I'm in the public HTML directory here. Extendazon Demo is my mother site. Extendazon Demo 2 is my existing site that I'm trying to transfer over. So what I could do is go into Extendazon Demo, go to WP Content, and then go to Plugins and also Themes, and I can look and see what is already going to be available on this site. So looking at plugins, if I look at the list here and see what is here, and then I compare that plugin list to what is on my existing site, I can identify things that may be used on this site that are not available on my mother site. This AMZN plugin is one such plugin. Now I have already transferred these files because this took a lot longer than I wanted to put into a video for you. But basically what you want to do is take the entire folder here. Click on this arrow. This is downloading the whole folder. If you're doing it through the file manager, you should be able to download an entire folder at a time as well. So you want to take that whole folder and put it on your computer. So I have this AMZN folder on my computer now. It looks just like the one that is on my existing website. So then I go back to my mother site, and I want to go to WP Content and Plugins, and that is where I want to upload that folder. I need the entire folder with the original name and all the contents of the folder, including any subfolders that might be in it. So make sure you are transferring everything over and make sure the name of that folder remains intact. So if you have a theme on your site, you're going to need to do that same thing as well. Look at the existing themes that you have on your mother site, and then go and look at your existing site that you're transferring over and see if the theme you're using over there is one of the themes that is already on your mother site. If not, then transfer the entire theme folder. These work just like plugins do. So if it's Weaver 2, transfer Weaver 2 over, and then load it onto the mother site in this same theme folder. Now there is one last thing that I want to show you, and that involves images, but it really makes a little more sense for me to come back to the images. But I'm going to show you just the beginning of it here at least. If you go to your existing site, then go to WP Content and Uploads, you have these different dated folders for different years. And then you have months within them, and then you also have individual images within those folders. Well, if you have images that end up not showing up on your site once you transfer it over, you can go to the upload folder of your existing site, copy all of these dated folders, just like we were doing with the plugins, and then once you have installed the new site on the network using the plugin, then you go into your mother site folder, go to WP Content, go to Uploads. You're going to see the same dated folders here, but you're going to see something new, and this is a folder called Sites. You shouldn't have had this on your existing site. This is only on the WP Empire Builder Network mother site. So this Sites folder, you have numbered folders within it. The number, each one of them pertains to a specific site. So if you need to transfer the files in, say for site number 3, you open this up and then you can see the dated folders here. So then you would move those dated folders that you had copied in right here under sites and then the number of your site. And I'm going to show you in just a minute here how you find what number your site is. So now that we have all of our files transferred, The next thing we need to do is to adjust our database. Now, if you had not already added your site, go to Sites and Add New, and go through that process that I showed you before to add in the site that I did in the first video where I added on demo site number 2. So with the database, what we need to do is wipe out some database information from this new site that we created on the network. Then we need to copy some information from the database from our existing site. So when you went through and created a new site here, by the way, make sure you do this import content that I showed you in the first video. This is going to pull over some of the information for us, and then we're going to be adjusting that information to get all this to work properly. So after your site is installed, go to your control panel. In Control Panel, look for Databases, and then go to phpMyAdmin. Within phpMyAdmin, look over here on the left, and you want to find the database that represents your mother site and also the database that represents the existing site that you are transferring over. Now, these two sites should be on the same hosting account, and as a result, you should see all of these databases listed within phpAdmin for a single control panel. If you are not sure which database is which, I can show you how to figure out. First of all, if you extend one of these so it shows you all of the tables within the database, if you see any that say WP underscore and then a number, and there's a whole bunch of them for that number, and maybe more for another number, and then some that don't have a number at all, that's going to be your mother site. These numbers are for the new sites that you are adding on, whereas the ones that do not have a number are for the original mother site. So that's the easiest way to identify the database for the mother site. So now what we're going to do, once we know which one the mother site is, we want to look for the highest number here. This highest number is going to be the number of the new site that we just added. So as soon as you create a site through the Add New Site feature, then you go to your database, and the highest number that you can find there for the WP underscore number, that's going to be the most recent site you created. And this number here, number 3, that is the number that I was referring to. Let me flip back over here to my FTP program. In the WP Content Uploads folder, you have the Sites folder. In the Sites folder, you have numbered folders. These numbers represent the numbers from here as well. So if you just created a brand new site, the highest number you see here and the highest number you see in the files in this upload folder, this should be the number of that new site that you just created. So with that said, once we know the number that we're after, I want to open WP underscore the number of the site, which should be the highest number. On mine it's 3, but on yours it could be a different number. So make sure you try to figure out this highest number and don't just go for the 3. So once you know what that number is, you want to look for the one that says options at the end of it. So I have WP underscore 3 underscore options. I'm going to click on this database, and it's going to open it up so I can browse what is inside of it. Now, if you notice here at the top, I have 207 total rows that are in this table. However, only 30 of them are being shown on this page. What I want to do is make this show me all of the rows all on one page. So to do that, I'm going to go down here to the bottom where it says show. I'm going to change start row to 0, and where it says number of rows, I'm going to put this to any number that is higher than this number right here. This is the minimum number that I want to set it to. It really doesn't matter if you set it to that exact number. You can see mine is a 207, so I just set mine to 300. This just ensures that I'm going to show all of the rows, and they're all going to be on one page. So now I'm showing rows 0 through 206, which is 207 total. This is everything in this table. So now I have a big long page. With that said, now that everything is showing, I want to go down here at the bottom where it says check all, and I want to click on this. That is going to select every row in my entire database. But then I want to go back to the top, and I want to look for 2 options. Where it says option name, look for one that says site URL, and look for one that says home. Chances are, in the mother site, these will be located right up at the top, number 1 and number 2. All you need to do is uncheck these 2, site URL and home. These are the new addresses of your network site. So we want to make sure we don't get rid of those. Everything else, though, that is checked, everything but those first 2 boxes for site URL and home, we're going to be deleting. So with them all checked, we click on the delete button. It asks if we really want to execute this. We have to scroll to the bottom and click on the yes button to actually make this go through. So now we have an almost completely empty table except for these 2 items, the site URL and the home. That is what we want. And then we can proceed to the next step. The next step is going to be to find the database for our existing site. So I'm going to go back to my list of all these databases that are on this web hosting account. Then I'm going to look at another one that I know is not the mother site. If you go to the WP Options database table, you should see an entry here that says site URL. And where it says site URL, you can see the domain name of that website. So look through the WP Options tables of each different database. As you can see here, this site, this hosting account has 5 different database tables on it. So I might need to look through all of these to find the right one, but I happen to know that it is this one. And you can see here where it says site URL, this is pointing to the Demo2 site that I am transferring over. So once you know what you want to transfer over, what we're going to do is do the same thing on the WP options table for the database for the existing website. But we're going to do it a little different. First of all, we do want to find out how many rows we have, 227 total, and we want to make sure we're showing all of those on this one page here. So I'm going to do this and make sure it's showing all of those. Once again, I want to click on Check All. And once again, I want to find the two that say Site URL and Home under the option name, but they may not be at the top this time. You might have to look for them a little. So there's Site URL, and if I continue looking, there is Home down here under number 39 for my website at least. Again, it could be different on yours. So find Home, find Site URL, and uncheck them. With those two unchecked and all of the other ones checked, then we want to go down to the bottom and click on the Export button. So now we have this big list of code here, and this is going to correctly export those particular rows for us. But what we need to do to finish it down here at the bottom is click on the Go button. Now there's actually two different ways. One, you can click on Go and you'll get a file, and you can then take that file and upload it. Or you can click on Custom, go down to Output, and click on View Output as Text, and then click on Go. And this is actually going to give us the information in text instead of an entire file. Now if you get the file, you're going to have to edit it. If you get all this text, what we're going to do is scroll down just a little bit, look for where it says Insert into WP Options. You want to start selecting there and go all the way down the file and select absolutely everything else. Make sure you're getting the end of the very last line here. So again, we have everything here selected all the way up through where it says Insert into WP Options. So we want to copy this. Now, I find this easiest to do in something like a notepad file. I paste it in, and then I'm going to go up here to Edit and go to Replace. And then I'm going to type in WP_options under the Find What box, and where it says Replace, I'm going to type in WP_3_options. Now notice this number 3. This is the site number that I figured out previously. So this is also the name of the table where we deleted all that information before. So you want to make sure you're using the correct number here when you are doing this, and then click on Replace All. With that replaced, we want to select everything. I did a Select All, and then I'm going to copy it. Now I'm going to go back to my database. I need to go back to my mother site database this time. Then I'm going to go to the SQL tab, and I'm going to paste all of that information in here, and then click on the Go button. So with that done, if I go back to the WP3 options table, I should now see more than just the site URL and the home. other information should be back again. And again, this is where I just was deleting information not long ago. So first I deleted it from my mother's site. Then I went to my existing site, copied that information, and came back here and replaced it into the mother site. And again, you're not going to do this in all of the WP options tables. If you do that, if you try to wipe out some of these that you aren't supposed to, you can end up messing up other sites that are on this network, or even your mother site. So make sure you're using the correct number. And it should always have a number associated with it when you're working with the mother site. The ones that don't have a number are the mother site itself. So you never want to be deleting anything out of those. Make sure you're only doing that with the numbered ones. So, with the files moved and with this database information copied and replaced over, I should then be able to go back to my site and refresh it without doing anything else, and this site should look correct now. So I'm just going to go up here and refresh now, and as you can see, the entire design of my site changed. And more importantly, the actual content of my site has correctly been restored. All this stuff that was just a plug-in shortcode before, it's now showing up correctly with my Amazon ads. My sidebars are showing up correctly. My entire site is once again functional as it should be, but I'm now on the multi-site, the WP Empire Builder network. So I can now manage these two sites from a single dashboard, and I could continue on with other sites that are on this same web host doing the same thing. Now the last thing that I was mentioning to you, the images, I'll revisit that one more time here. Whatever number you found for the database table that represented your site, that is where you would transfer any images. So that 2012 through 2015 group of folders that I would have downloaded from my existing site would then be uploaded into my mother site under WP Content, Uploads. Then in the Sites folder, I find the number 3 folder. And this is where I would upload all of those year folders to put all of these images back on my site. But again, this is not something you're going to have to do on every site. Only do this if you find images on your site that are missing. That is really the only situation where you would need to do this. Otherwise, though, the plugins and the theme files being transferred over and the database information being replaced should completely restore your sites as needed. Now, let's say, for example, you go through all of this training to set up a site on the network as a child site of your mother site. And still, no matter what you do following all this training, it still just will not look right or function correctly in one way or another. How do you restore your site back to normal? That is the final thing that I would like to show you here. If you need to restore your site back to normal, the first thing you do is you go into WP Empire Builder. You find that site and you click on Delete. That will after confirming at least, wipe out the new site that you have created. However, it's not going to wipe out the original site that you imported from. That site will still exist. So what you're going to need to do to get that to show back up potentially is to reset the domain or subdomain information. This is especially important for a subdomain. If you had that domain name set up as a subdomain, and on a site where you have add-on domains and stuff like that, this for a full domain instead of just a subdomain, this same type of thing could apply. So if you delete it from WEmpire Builder and then you try to visit the domain name again, if it will not access correctly after a few minutes or so, go to your control panel and look under either the subdomains or the add-on domains, depending on which one applies to your site. For mine, it would be the subdomains. And look and see whether this redirection still exists or not. See right here, demo2.extendazon.com. After deleting my site through WPEmpire Builder, it's going to delete this entry for my subdomain. The reason why, though, is because of where it's pointing. This subdomain no longer points to my original location. It's now pointing to my mother site. So you might need to go back in here and recreate your subdomain or your primary domain if it was an add-on domain. For me, this would be demo2.extendazon.com and the document root public HTML / and then this folder name. This folder name is the same folder name where you found your existing site here. You can see Extendazon Demo 2, and so that's what I'm putting back in here. This would recreate that subdomain and point it back to the original site if I wanted to wipe all this out and undo what I had done with WPEmpire Builder. So thank you again for picking up this plugin today. I hope you enjoy it, and also hope that you are able to put my training to good use to get all of your existing sites set up so you can really start to save time utilizing this plugin.